Hello, my name is Aidan and welcome to another Golf Predictor video tutorial. In this video I shall be talking about season stats, and to do that we will go to the other stats menu and select the first option in the season stats subsection. And if you do that you'll be brought to the following page, which as usual I've preloaded on another tab. The original purpose of this page was to display the complete season stats for all golfers who played at least 5 tournaments in the selected season. The reason that there was a 5 tournament minimum was to filter out all the sponsors' invites, amateurs and the like, and only focus on the golfers that most people would be interested in. Barring severe injury problems, almost all golfers that people will be interested in play at least 10 and more likely in the range of 15 to 30 tournaments every year. Therefore, these stats focus on those golfers. Prior to this functionality, if you wanted to find out how a player did in a complete season, the nearest thing you could do on Golf Predictor was to find out what that golfer's last tournament was, go to his prediction data, and then manually add the results for that tournament to the stats available to figure out how the golfer got on in that particular season. So these season stats really made this process much easier, where you have all the stats for all the golfers in one place. Up until 4 months ago, these season stats were generated at the end of each GP season, which usually meant December. However, due to a user request in April this year, that's 2015, I have added this functionality to collate the results for the current season as well. So as the season goes on and the results are inputted into Golf Predictor, the system automatically updates these season stats. So as you see there, for the 2015 US Tour on the week of the Wyndham Championship, you can see that the season stats are collated for all the golfers that have played at least 5 tournaments so far in 2015. It is no surprise to see Jordan Spieth leading the rankings. The golfers are ranked by their average finishing positions in all the tournaments they have played in the given season. When you are looking at the current season stats, as we are now for the 2015 season, where we're about 3/4 of the way through the season, these stats are similar to what you get in the prediction stats for each tournament. However, there are a few differences. The first and obvious difference is that the prediction stats are generated for the entire field for the tournament, whereas the GP season stats are generated for each golfer who has played at least 5 tournaments in the current season. That means it might be harder to find the golfer you're interested in the season stats. Number 2 is that the stats for the predictions are much more detailed than the GP season stats. So given the choice, you should really focus on the prediction stats for the tournament. However, in the case that the prediction stats aren't available, for example, if there's a weather delay, then the stats mightn't be available until Tuesday, then GP season stats are available once the tournament results are put in. So you might have the up-to-date season stats a day before the prediction stats for a particular tournament. So if you really need to get your bet on, or to pick your fancy team, and you can't wait for the prediction stats to be available, then this is a good second choice. All that said, now let's go ahead and look at some of the stats that are available. So scrolling down a bit, we see, as usual, we have a data table with a lot of columns that are all sortable and with useful information. For example, you can see their average finishing position, their consistency or standard deviation, the number of rounds they've played, the number of tournaments they've played, how many they've won, top 10s, missed cuts, and non-finishes. So all these columns are sortable as usual. Also for each golfer, again as usual, if you hover over the golfer's first name, you get some more information. You can see their best and worst finishes for the season. As you can see there, even Jordan Spieth has had a bad week, with his worst finish being 119. Now interestingly enough, if you look down at all the golfers on the first page of 50 golfers or so, you will see that Matsuyama has got the best worst finish of 78. So you can really see how difficult it is to back golfers at the best of times, when even the best of them can really have bad weeks. Okay, as normal, above the data table you have a number of charts where you can see easily who has the lowest scoring average, the most tournaments played, the best average finishing position, the most top 10s, and so on and so forth. So for example, if you want to see who is the most top 10s without sorting the data table, you can click on the chart link and you'll see there that by far and away Jordan Spieth has got the most top 10s. No surprise there given the season he's been having. So hovering over the bar gives more information. You can see that out of 20 tournaments he's had 14 top 10s, which is a fairly impressive strike rate of 70%. Okay, so returning back to the previous page. Now, as I mentioned before, when you're looking at the current season stats, these stats will be similar to the prediction stats for the tournament. So, looking at, for example, at Hideki Matsuyama's row, you can see that his average for the season so far is 23.25. That's his average finishing position, and his standard deviation is 23.47, and his scoring average is exactly 70. So for example, if we looked at the prediction data page for Matsuyama for the Wyndham Championship, which is the current week's event, we will see exactly the same stats. I've preloaded that on another tab, so you can scroll down to the GP season panel, and you can see there exactly the same average, standard deviation, best and worst finishes, and scoring average of 70. So going back to the page we were on. So again, clicking on the golfer's first name will bring, or second name will bring you to the season stats data page, and we'll just do that for Matsuyama since we've been talking about him. So if you click on either Hideki or Matsuyama, you will be brought to a season stats data page, which as normal I have preloaded on a separate tab. For the current season, if you took all the GP season stats from the prediction data page for the golfer for the current tournament and put them in a separate page, you would end up with something very similar to the season stats page. This is only true while the tournament is progressing, because once the results for the tournament go into the system, the season stats are updated, but the prediction data page remains the same. Okay, so looking at this page for Matsuyama, the first panel is basic golfer information. The second panel is the main season stats panel. Then we have a performance panel, which shows you a breakdown of the golfer's performances. So he's played 16, has won any, but he's had 6 top 10s and 1 miscut. And if you press on this pie chart icon, you will get a breakdown that shows you that. For example, you see there he has top 10 in 37.5% of his tournaments this season. That means for every 8 tournaments he goes into or he has played in, that he is top 10 in 3. We'll close that. There's also charts for rounds and average finishing position, which are similar to the charts that are on the main prediction data page. As usual, hovering over any point gives more information. In this particular chart is his average finishing position, or his finishing positions this year. It's got the average finishing position underneath. You can also see charts for his round scores, including a distribution chart, which we'll click on there. So you can see this is a nice normal distribution for any stats junkies out there. Most of his first round scores are in the 70 to 74 range, where he's had one very good one, one pretty bad one, and 4 pretty good ones. So that gives you a breakdown of a score. Again, you've got the first round average there and the number of tournaments underneath. So scrolling down a bit further, you can see around a record scores table as well. So you can see what tournaments he got these scores in if you just hover over the number. For example, his best round 1 was 64 at the Memorial, and his worst round 2, for example, was at the Bridgestone Invitational there recently. And finally, you see the list of the matching tournaments that these stats are based on, i.e. all the tournaments that the golfers played in the selected season. In this case, it's the 2015 season up to and including the US PGA, which is on last week. So you see there is quite amount of stats there for the GP season. Again, if you look at previous years or previous GP seasons, you will get the full data for that particular season. But the example we've looked at is the 2015 season for Matsuyama. Okay, so going back to the main stats page which we started on, there is also another season stats page which you can access from the same menu. So go up to other stats and click on the rounds version of the page, which is the last option in the menu. It's got an R in brackets after season stats. And if you do that, you'll be brought to the following page, which I have also preloaded in a separate tab. Now this is very similar to before. It's got data tables. If you click on any of the names of the golfer, you'll be brought to the season stats page. The difference is that this data table is focused on round scores. So you can see that the golfer's average first round, second round, third round and final round scores and his overall round average. And again, there are chart links that you click on above if you want to see who's at the best first round in 2015 so far. From an average score point of view, you can see that on the US Tour it's Will Wilcox, so he might be worth a flutter for first round leader since he generally does very well in round one compared to everyone else on tour. Okay, back to the previous page. So I hope you've seen how there is a lot of useful season stats on Golf Predictor that you can use for whatever reason you see fit. Please note that you must be subscribed to Golf Predictor to see all the season stats for all the golfers. If you are not subscribed, you will only see the golfers ranked 11 to 25 for the season. So please consider subscribing to the site to get the most out of these great stats. Okay, that's about it for this tutorial. I hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching and I'll talk to you again soon.